Well, a couple months late, but it finally happened. You are getting the reliever video, best reliever from every team in Major League Baseball. It was supposed to be part of the 12 days of rankings. I honestly don't remember why I didn't release it, just kind of got delayed, and now it's February. Spring training has started, and I figured, let's go ahead and drop it now. You guys have been asking for it long enough. I've been making you wait long enough. Here is the video for the best reliever from every team in Major League Baseball for the 2021 season. You guys know what to do. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. If you're finally excited that the 12 days of MLB rankings are finally over, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 200K by opening day, and we've been doing so well, so keep on hitting that sub button if you have not yet done so. Get in the comment section down below. Let me know if you agree, disagree with my picks, my rankings, and last but not least, make sure you drop me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, second channel, TikTok. Links to all my social media is in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get the best reliever from every team in baseball started. Getting the rankings started at the number 30 spot, Detroit Tigers reliever Gregory Soto. The Tigers had been using Soto a bit as a starter in 2019, and it just didn't work out. Moved him to the pen in 2020, and it's a great decision. Soto has the stuff to become an elite reliever one day. He still has the walk problem, but an 11.3 K per 9 and a 6.3 hit per 9, along with the fact that he doesn't give up many home runs, that has the recipe for someone who can be a really good reliever. Had a K rate around 30% last year in 23 innings. A 4.3 ERA doesn't look great, but a 3.76 FIP, that does help. And again, if he fixes the walks, he can be good, but right now he's just not there yet, which is why we have him at the number 30 spot. For the 29th best reliever in today's video, we've got Daniel Bart of the Colorado Rockies. Daniel Bart has a crazy story. Pitched in 2013 as a 28-year-old and then was out of baseball until 2020, where he appeared with the Rockies in 23 games as their closer. And he had a pretty good year. 3.65 ERA, whip at 1.297, 9.9 K per 9. Did give up a few hits, but limited the long ball and didn't give up too many walks. And for a guy who was out of baseball for 7 years, who was working for the Diamondbacks as a scout the year before, it's a pretty incredible story. I'm always rooting for Daniel Bart, and I think he's the best reliever on the Colorado Rockies. Next up at the number 28 spot, this guy actually had a great 2020 and should be a guy you keep an eye out for next season, Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott, left-handed reliever with the Orioles, has some filthy stuff, and it showed in his numbers. 20 and 2/3 innings last year, a 1.31 ERA, a whip at 1.065, striking out 10 batters per 9, giving up 5.2 hits, less than half a home run, and 4.4 walks, which is down from his career average. If he can limit the walks, he has the potential to be a filthy left-handed reliever. He had a K rate last year of about 26.7%. He's not elite yet, and I don't know if he will ever get to elite category, but you should keep an eye out on Tanner Scott because there is some stuff there that could turn into a very solid left-handed reliever. Best one on the Orioles for sure. At number 27, we go with the Texas Rangers, whose pitching is abysmal, but at least Jose Leclerc is there, and Jose Leclerc does have some filthy stuff. Now, Jose Leclerc is gonna walk a ton of batters. That's always been his thing, a 5.7 walk per 9 for his career, but he also strikes out batters at an insane rate. He had a 39% K rate back in 2019. He only pitched 2 innings in 2020, coming back off an injury, but at only 27 years old, he's got some electric stuff, and again, a guy you should watch out for. He's gonna be the closer out in Texas. For him, just gotta stay healthy and gotta limit the walks, but if he can keep the walks down, he has the potential to be filthy because people just don't hit him hard, don't hit home runs off of him, and he gets a lot of swings and misses. Jose Leclerc, number 27. At number 26, we actually have a guy who was the closer for the Rangers last year, former New York Met, now a part of the Seattle Mariners, Rafael Monteiro. Yes, that was a long way to get there, but we finally got there. Monteiro has actually become a very solid reliever. The last 2 seasons with Texas, he's had 39 appearances all out of the pen, 46 and 2/3 innings to a 3.09 ERA, a whip under 1, striking out over 10 batters per 9 innings. The home runs are a little high at 1.4, but doesn't give up many hits, doesn't give up many walks. That's what you like to see from a reliever, a guy who attacks the zone. He was touted as a top prospect early on with the Mets as a starting pitcher, but it never worked out, so moving him to the reliever role makes a lot of sense. You can get a lot out of him, get that top quality stuff, and he's going to be a part of this Mariners bullpen that's quietly going to be pretty good next season. So Rafael Monteiro coming in at number 26. For the 25th best reliever in today's video, Pittsburgh Pirates Richard Rodriguez. Probably not a name you're too familiar with. For the last couple years, he's not been one of the top names that you've been hearing, but Richard Rodriguez has got some interesting stuff. Now, he throws a fastball like 85-90% of the time, whether it's a 4-seam, 2-seam cutter, sinker, any sort of pitch that's a fastball he's interested in. And 2020, he had a really good year, coming off of some strong years in 18 and 19. 2020, 2.7 ERA, a FIP at 2.85, 23 innings pitched, a whip at 0.857, striking out almost 13 batters per 9 innings, hits per 9 under 6, walks per 9 under 2, just gives up the long ball. And if you look at the last 3 years for Richard Rodriguez, an ERA at 3, a whip at 1.15, that's a very solid reliever and a good arm for the Pirates to have. Probably someone they can trade and get some prospects for at the deadline this year. At the number 24 spot, I'm going to go with Greg Holland of the Kansas City Royals. Greg Holland had a really good season in 2020 with Kansas City, and while he hasn't been incredible since that World Series run years from the Kansas City Royals days of the past, I think we can see Greg Holland is making strides forward again, and he can be a solid reliever. In 2020, he made 28 appearances, a 1.91 ERA, FIP at 2.52, and a whip under 1. In 28 in the third inning, struck out 31 of the 112 batters he faced, doesn't give up a lot of hits, gives up virtually no home runs, doesn't walk anybody. While he doesn't have the nastiest stuff, he gets the job done. So for those reasons, I'm putting Greg Holland inside that top 25 at number 24. Now, maybe this is a little bit of a controversial pick, but at number 23, I'm gonna go with the Boston Red Sox, Matt Barnes. Could have picked Ottavino, but I think Barnes is just going to be a little bit better. 2020 wasn't a great year, but then again, it wasn't a great year for anybody in the Boston Red Sox bullpen. And while he tends to have a high whip because of the high walk numbers, his strikeout numbers are through the roof. The last 3 years, he averages a 3.81 ERA and a 3.28 FIP with a 1.336 whip, but a 14.3 K per nine. Like, I just can't ignore that. That's so good. I don't know, maybe Ottavino should be the pick here, but I see what Matt Barnes does with the strikeouts, and it's just a quick fix of limiting the walks. A K rate of 36% over a 3-year span, that's just filthy. And that's stuff where you can project him and say, he could be a top reliever in baseball with a couple fixes here. I know Red Sox fans probably aren't going to like this pick, but I'm going to go with Matt Barnes for their best reliever and stick him at number 23. At number 22, I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants, Reyes Maranta. Reyes Maranta didn't pitch in 2020 due to injury, but in the seasons that Maranta has pitched, 17 through 19, he's been really good. Another guy, high walks, doesn't give up home runs, and doesn't give up hits. So he has some stuff to polish, but there's definitely something there. For his career, he's made 132 appearances, 128 innings pitched, 2.66 ERA, whip at 1.2. Like I said, the walks are high at 5.1 per 9 innings, but another guy with a pretty high K rate, hovering around 30%. It'll be interesting to see how Maranta handles 2021, having missed an entire season, but he definitely has the stuff to be the best reliever in that Giants bullpen. At the number 21 spot, I don't like this pick, but I'm going with Dirty Craig Kimbrell. And like, it pains me because Kimbrell could probably go back into the top 10 next year if he just limits the walks. Since 2018, the walks have become a problem, and it's definitely diminished his play. At least in 2018, he wasn't giving up any hits, but now the combination of hits, home runs, and walks is making him hard to rank because he still strikes out batters at an insane rate. Last year, he had a K rate of 40%, but the walks were so high. He had a walk rate of almost 20. So we know how filthy his stuff is, and we know how good he should be, but the last 2 years with the Cubs, he's been bad. An ERA at 6.0, a FIP at 6.29. Those numbers are hard to ignore, but you see the strikeouts, and you know what Craig Kimbrell has been in the past, and I just can't put him that much lower than 21, because there's a chance that Craig Kimbrell figures it out and goes back to being a top reliever in the league this year. So Craig Kimbrell, number 21, just outside the top 20. Getting the top 20 started at the number 20 spot, Yimi Garcia of the Miami Marlins. Yimi Garcia casually had a really good year last year, building off a strong 2019 with the Dodgers. The last 2 seasons combined, a 3.03 ERA, whip at 0.879. Love to see that. Doesn't give up hits, doesn't give up walks. Has an issue with the long ball though, 1.7 home runs per 9. And his strikeouts aren't insane, 9.9 per 9 innings, less than 30%. So while his stuff isn't filthy, he does get results, and at the end of the day, for a guy in the bullpen, you want results, and that's what Yimi Garcia gives you. I'll put him inside the top 20 here. Similar to Yimi Garcia, at the number 19 spot, another guy who just gets results year after year, Joaquim Soria. Soria is just like quietly super boring, but he's also quietly been really good. If you take his numbers from 2017, he averages about 68 appearances a year, 65 innings, 3.63 ERA, FIP at 2.83, doesn't give up home runs, doesn't walk anybody, and strikes out a decent amount of batters, 10.5 strikeouts per 9, which is a K rate hovering right below 30%. So again, a guy who doesn't blow stuff by, it doesn't have the filthiest pitches, but he gets the job done. And in Arizona, where they're going to need some bullpen help, he's going to be huge for them. I got him at number 19. For the 18th best reliever in today's video, Cincinnati Reds, I'm going with Amir Garrett. Amir Garrett was disgusting in 2020, and he's only been getting better and better as the years have gone on in Major League Baseball, and I fully expect him to be one of the best left-handed relievers in baseball in 2021. His stuff's that good. Also, he's a beast. He's an animal. He took on the entire Pittsburgh Pirates team. That's sick. 2020, 2.45 ERA in 18 1/3 innings pitched, 26 strikeouts of the 69 batters he faced, nice, and ERA plus at 197, FIP 4.34, which is a little high, but a whip under 1, 12.8 K per 9, 3.4 walks per 9. He's been getting the walks down. The hits per 9 were only at 4.9, which is incredibly low, but of the 10 hits he gave up, 4 of them were homers. So interesting. I think Amir Garrett's only going to be getting better. The stuff's been getting stronger every year, and I fully expect him to continue that in 2021. At number 17, Padres fans, you probably aren't going to like this, but I'm going to go with Drew Pomeranz, and the only reason I'm going with that is because he's been filthy for about 45 appearances, and it's still Drew Pomeranz. I always think about how terrible he has been in the past, but as a reliever, he's been pretty good to his credit. In 2020, 1.45 ERA in 20 appearances, 18 2/3 innings pitched, a whip at 1.01, 2.39 FIP, 14 K per 9, 4.3 hits per 9, but the walks again were high, but that's always kind of of been a thing with Drew Pomeranz. He has the potential to be a filthy reliever. I just don't know if I can put him in that top category just yet based on 20 appearances. Nonetheless, still nasty left-handed reliever out of the pen for sure for the Padres, and I think the best one on their team right now. For the 16th best reliever, Philadelphia Phillies newly acquired reliever Archie Bradley. I think Archie Bradley's definitely got to be the best reliever on that team, considering how bad they've been, and also he's good. Since 2017, Archie Bradley has an ERA under 3 at 2.95, a whip at 1.197, a FIP at 3.19, strikes out around 25% of the batters he faces. Again, doesn't have the nastiest stuff, but pretty much gets the job done. And since he's became a reliever, he hasn't had an ERA above 3.64, and the last few seasons have been strong, including 2020 where he had a 2.95 ERA. So Archie Bradley, strong reliever, doesn't have the nastiest stuff, but for the Phillies who need the help, having the 16th best reliever in today's video is going to be a nice improvement. He's definitely better than Reyes. And now we have hit the halfway point in today's video, the 15th best reliever, newly acquired Oakland A, Trevor Rosenthal. Rosenthal, after having a rough stretch in 19 and not pitching in 18 because of injury, figured it out in 2020, and he's disgusting. 23 appearances, a 1.9 ERA, a whip under 1 at 0.845, a FIP at 2.22, an ERA plus at 240, 14.5 K per 9. The walks were down to 3.0, the hits were down at 4.6, and he wasn't giving up home runs. You ready for this K rate? 38 strikeouts, 91 batters faced. That's a K rate of almost 42%. Yeah, disgusting. Trevor Rosenthal in Oakland, a really good pickup for the A's. Next up at the number 14 spot, bad year last year, but he's still good, Taylor Rogers of the Twins. Up until 2020, Taylor Rogers was pretty good, arguably one of the better left-handed relievers in baseball. For his career up until that point, he had an ERA at 3. But 2020 came along, 4.05 ERA in 20 innings pitched. The hits were through the roof, 11.7 hits per 9, gave him a 1.5 whip, but his FIP was still low at 2.84, still striking out a lot of batters, not giving up walks, not giving up home runs. I see that kind of pitcher and I go, okay, he just had a little bit of a rough stretch. I don't think it's anything to worry about. He's still one of the best left-handed relievers in the game, and that's why I put him at the number 14 spot. Coming in at number 13, another newly acquired reliever in the AL West, Ryzel Iglesias for the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels bullpen has been abysmal. Hansel Robles was their best guy. Grabbing Ryzel Iglesias is a nice pickup. He was really good with the Reds, very underrated. A 3.15 ERA for his career, but if you look at the last 4 seasons from 2017, he has an ERA under 3, a 1.1 whip. He strikes out a ton of batters, 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, a K rate at 30%, doesn't walk too many guys, doesn't give up many hits, and the home runs are about average. There's not much to dislike about Ryzel Iglesias. He just had a rough year in 2019, and even still, you could dive deeper into the numbers. There were a couple appearances that kind of screwed over his ERA. So Ryzel Iglesias, I think you should look more at his 2020 numbers where he had a 2.74 ERA, a FIP at 1.84, a whip under 1, and go, yeah, the Angels got a really good closer here. Number 13 for Ryzel. For the 12th best reliever, let's go to the Houston Astros, keeping it in the AL West, Ryan Pressly. Pressly, another one of these guys, just like super quiet, super underrated, super underappreciated. He's been a really good reliever the last few years for Houston, and was even good in Minnesota before Houston got him. Last year in 2020, when he took over this closer role after Roberto Osun has been hurt, 3.43 ERA, 1.33 whip, which is a little bit higher than what he's been doing the last few years, but he's still striking out a ton of batters. The walks were low, the home runs were low, just a few more hits here and there, and again, it was only 21 innings. You take the last 3 seasons, he has an ERA at 2.58, a whip at 1, a FIP at 2.59, striking out about 30% of the batters he faces. He's still filthy. Number 12. And then just missing on the top 10, coming in at number 11, Will Smith of the Atlanta Braves. For some reason, people don't talk about Will Smith enough. Yes, he didn't have a great 2020, 16 innings, 4.5 ERA, and he gave up 3.9 homers per 9, 7 homers on 11 hits, which is crazy. But that's like unsustainable. That's not gonna happen again. Look at what Will Smith has done otherwise. This is a guy who before 2020 was one of the best left-handed relievers in baseball. People talk about the Braves bullpen being weak. They don't mention Will Smith ever. He's really good. I don't get it. He strikes out a ton of batters, is great against lefties, specifically in a division that's got a lot of left-handed hitters. Freddie Freeman, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, Brandon Nimmo, Michael Conforto, Dom Smith, Jeff McNeil, just to name a few. I think this is a really underrated reliever, and I got him just outside the top 10. Getting in the top 10 started at the number 10 spot, newly acquired Washington National Brad Hand. Yeah, I would have liked to have Brad Hand on the Mets, but I get it. He wanted to be a closer, and that's why he's going to be in Washington. Since making the move to reliever, Brad Hand's been great. 2016, first year as being like a full-time reliever, and since then he's had an ERA of 2.7, whip at 1.066, ERA plus 157, FIP 2.92, and since 2018 he's been really good, and he continued on that great stretch in 2020. A 2.05 ERA, had the most saves in the league, most games finished, struck out over a third of the batters he faced, a whip of 0.773, 11.9 Ks per 9, 5.3 hits per 9, didn't give up a home run, and doesn't walk anybody. Yes, the velo was down, but the numbers were still there. He still performed. Brad Hand's a top 10 reliever in the league. At number 9, the guy who essentially pushed out Brad Hand from his job in Cleveland, James Karinchak. Oh, James Karinchak is so much fun to watch, and if he can fix the walks, oh, he's going to be a top 5 reliever in no time. Last year in his rookie season, Karinchak made 27 27 appearances, 27 innings, 53 strikeouts of the 109 batters he faced. That is almost a K rate of 50%. Disgusting. 17.7 K per nine. That's video game numbers. A FIP at 1.52, ERA at 2.67, hits per nine 4.7, home runs per nine 0.3. Like, no one hits the ball off of him, and when they do, it's not hard. He just walked a few guys, 5.3 walks per nine. But again, 17.7 K per nine, a K rate of almost 50%. Don't care. He's filthy. Number 9. At number 8, I'm going with Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets. Yeah, I think he edges out Seth Lugo, especially with the injury. Edwin Diaz was kind of disgusting in 2020. As much as I don't trust the guy with anything, I can't deny how good he was. While he still has a bit of a walk issue and does like to give up the long ball, he was better in 2020. That was the reliever we were trading for. In 26 appearances, 25 2/3 innings, he had a 1.75 ERA, a FIP at 2.18. The whip was still high at 1.24, but he struck out 17.5 batters per 9 innings, a K rate again just shy of 50%. The long balls were down, only 2 homers last year, down from the 22 in the 58 innings he gave up in 2019, which was just historically bad, but the walks were up. So, Edwin Diaz, he's still there. I think Hefner has fixed him, and I hope he continues to be good. Please, Edwin Diaz, be good like you were in 2020 again. Number 8 reliever in baseball. For the number 7 spot, a little bit different, I'm gonna go Giovanni Gallegos, who since going to the Cardinals has been great, and he just slightly edges out Edwin Diaz, because he just has a little bit longer recently of being good. The last 2 seasons with the Cardinals, a 2.53 ERA in 82 appearances, a whip at .820, striking out a third of the batters he faces, doesn't give up walks, doesn't give up hits, doesn't give up home runs. He doesn't have the K rate of some of the guys that we previously mentioned, but he also doesn't give up the walks, doesn't give up the hits. He's been really good for the Cardinals. He's their closer. He's been filthy. I like Gallegos a lot. Super underrated reliever in baseball. I got him at number 7. For the 6th best closer in baseball, I'm going with Kenley Janssen. Maybe I'm overrating him, and maybe I'm still thinking of the glory days for him back in 16 and 17, but Kenley Janssen's still good, and I'm not going to punish him for having a 3.3 ERA and still striking out a ton of batters, not giving up hits, not giving up home runs. Like, he's good, and that's weird because he might lose his closer role, but still, I just trust Kenley Janssen. Now, the last 3 years haven't been lights out like he has been in the past, but a 3.34 ERA, a whip at 1.044. The strikeouts have been down a bit for sure, and he doesn't have the same great stuff, but I think 2020, he kind of returned to that form a little bit, and I think that he's going to be fine in 2021. I'm aware I'm probably living in the glory days here. I should probably have him closer to 10 and bring down guys like Karinchak and Diaz, but right now I'm going to keep Kenley Janssen at 6 just because of what he has been able to do for his career. Now we crack into the top 5. At the number 5 spot, Kirby Yates of the Toronto Blue Jays. 2020 was a bad year. Don't worry about it. He pitched 4 innings. Who cares? Look at 18 and 19. That's what I want to see. 18 and 19, Kirby Yates had an ERA of 1.67 in 125 appearances, a whip at .906, a FIP at 1.93, striking out almost 40% of the batters he faced, not walking anybody, not giving up any hits, not giving up any home runs. Kirby Yates is filthy. 2020, bad year. He got hurt, but the Blue Jays, I think, got a little bit of a diamond in the rough here. I think people forgot how good Kirby Yates was the prior years, and he's going to be great out in Toronto. I mean, even still, in the bad 2020, he still struck out over 30% of the batters he faced. So Kirby Yates, still pretty good. Still in my top 5 at number 5. Coming in at the number 4 spot, sliding down a little bit, Aroldis Chapman of the New York Yankees. Chapman is still absolutely disgusting. It's just that the guys ahead of him have leapfrogged him. He's still really good. He's still a top closer in the game. Since 2018, he has a 2.4 ERA, a whip at 1.05, a FIP at 2.26, ERA plus a 182, a K rate at 40%. Disgusting. Striking out 15 batters per 9 innings, walking 4.4, 5.1 hits per 9, and 0.5 home runs per 9. We know he's got some of the filthiest stuff in the game. The fastball's 100 miles an hour. The slider's 93, and it moves like crazy. He's throwing wiffle balls out there. He's filthy. He's the 4th best reliever in baseball. For the 3rd best reliever, I'm going Nick Anderson of the Tampa Bay Rays. It's one of the smaller sample sizes, but I think it's going to stick with Nick Anderson. And while he wasn't great in the playoffs, look at what he's done since going to Tampa Bay. They have fixed him and made him unbelievable, harnessed that insane ability. With the Rays, he's made 42 appearances, 1.43 ERA, a whip at .584, 67 strikeouts of the 136 batters he faced. Yes, that's a K rate of almost 50%, 16.0 K per 9, 1.2 walk per 9, 1.0 home run per 9, and a 4.1 hits per 9, 13.4 strikeout to walk ratio. Nick Anderson is so disgusting. How did the Rays continue to do it? This guy is unbelievable. One of the best relievers without a doubt in baseball. Like last year, he only allowed 8 base runners without errors. That's crazy. Just missing out at the number 1 spot, coming in at number 2, Liam Hendriks of the Chicago White Sox. Liam Hendriks is really, really good. And while he has a better ERA the last couple years than the guy ahead of him, I just can't put him at number 1. But let's talk about why he's number 2, because that's quite the accomplishment in of itself. Last 2 years, 1.79 ERA in 99 appearances, 110 innings. This is a guy who can go multiple innings, .89 whip, 1.7 FIP, 237 ERA plus, a K rate of 38%, doesn't walk anybody, doesn't give up hits, doesn't give up home runs, and strikes out a lot of guys, and he's also just a monster on the mound. He knows he's better than you. He's got moxie. That's what they say, and he's Australian. He's really cool. So Liam Hendriks for the Chicago White Sox, great pickup, second best reliever. And then coming in at number 1, arguably could have been 2 of the relievers from this same team. From the Milwaukee Brewers, I'm gonna go with Josh Hader just because of the longevity. But it also honestly could have been Devin Williams. He's that good. Yeah, Josh Hader had a down year last year. The walks were a little up, but he's still disgusting. He's still the best reliever in baseball. I can't dethrone it. Since he came up in 2014, he has a 2.54 ERA in 223 innings pitched and a .858 whip, 15.3 K per 9, 4.4 hits per 9. He gives up the long ball a little bit at 1.2 and the walks at 3.3. For his career though, a 44.1 K rate, and the last 3 years, it's even better at 46.4. Like, Josh Hader is so good. He's the nastiest left-hander in the league. He's the nastiest reliever in baseball. He's so good out of the pen that he has a chance to win Cy Youngs. Goes multiple innings, devastating to lefties. The walks can be a little bit of an issue at times, and he does give up the long ball, but you don't care when he strikes out almost 50% of the batters he faces. Like I said, it could have been him or Devin Williams. That's how good both of them are. I ended up going with Josh Hader for the best reliever on the Brewers, therefore making him the best reliever in baseball. So we finally did it. Those are the rankings for the best reliever on every team in Major League Baseball. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Drop a like on the video if you're happy it finally is over, as well as subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you this baseball season. Drop me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all my social media links in the description. And that's where I'm gonna wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.